we have made further improvements to the refresh parameters process. The refresh parameters field indicates when changes have been made in the DDM Office environment that may affect the CAD environment. You can check which parameters are mapped to your CAD software in the admin tools. In the admin environment under Tools and CAD Parameter Mapping, we can select the CAD software in use and we can check which fields are mapped. So we can see here we have description 1 and 2, issue and so on. For this example we will be looking at the manufacturer field, which is not mapped, and the description 1 field, which is mapped. There are 3 ways to make changes in the DDM Office environment. We can access the properties and make changes in here. Here we will change the manufacturer. Now this is not a mapped field, but when we change the properties, this indicates that the properties of this item must be checked with a parameter refresh. We can also edit fields within the Office environment with a double click. And again, if I refresh this view, you can see that both of these are now indicated for a refresh parameter. As we make changes using the bulk editor, DDM intelligently checks these fields are mapped fields. So if I change the manufacturer on this component, we can see that the refresh parameter field has not updated because this is not a mapped field. If we use the bulk editor to edit the description, we can see that it is checked, and because this is a mapped field, the refresh parameters is required. I've logged out of the administrator account and I'm now going to log in as the sample user. All 3 of the components we modified are used in an assembly. This assembly is reserved to the sample user and does not require refresh parameters, but each of the components we just modified are used within this assembly and are all currently flagged for refresh parameters. As we begin the load process, we can see again that all 3 are marked for refresh parameters. We'll uncheck the clear refresh parameters for now and we will continue to load. Here we can see that the refresh parameter is still required on the ball bearing and the bearing housing because we modified a mapped parameter. The shaft, on the other hand, was not required because it's not a mapped parameter. If we attempt to save this now without clearing those refresh requirements, we can see that the bearing housing and the drawing for the bearing housing currently require saving. Because these are either released or reserved to another user, I don't have the ability to save this. And it tells me I need to mark an action. It is possible to clear this by marking each item as unchanged. In more complex bill of materials, this could be a timely process. So to improve this efficiency, we have added a new tool. Just clear the working directory and we'll return to DDM. We can see that the shaft is no longer marked as refresh parameters, as when we loaded it was checked and it's not a mapped field, so that is no longer required. The ball bearing and the bearing housing is still marked for a parameter refresh. This time as we load it in, we will mark the clear refresh parameters button. This time when we attempt to save, we can see that the assembly and its drawing can be saved and none of the other items are marked for saving, allowing us to save quickly. Now this is obviously a very powerful tool, so you have the ability to configure this as you require. CAD and neutral files under CAD settings, and then the CAD software you are using. We have a clear refresh parameters flags when loading, and we can turn this on and off. And we also have the ability to prevent users from changing that option in the load process.